I think I speak for a lot of people. What are some of specifically the ingredients that people need to start looking for when they want to talk about being that alpha male, like increasing testosterone, sleeping better, being able to deal with stress and all the things that life throws at us?
There's a number of ingredients that I would recommend for, like you said, increasing testosterone levels, right? Which is going to then give you more energy, more focus, as well as sleeping better and recovering better, right? Ashwagandha is one of the most critical ingredients. And ashwagandha is mainly known as an adaptogen, which means it helps deal with stress. But with ashwagandha, the nice thing for men is that it's also been shown to significantly increase testosterone levels. And the main way it works to do that is through its antioxidant benefits. It literally protects the cells, what are called Leydig cells in the testicles, from oxidative damage. And by preventing this oxidative damage, or at least limiting it, those cells perform better. Their normal function is better. With better function, you're getting better testosterone levels. Fenugreek, which is another antioxidant that people may have heard about but don't understand, that it also increases testosterone levels through a number of ways by increasing what's called luteinizing hormone, which basically travels to the testicles, those Leydig cells that I was talking about, to increase testosterone production. Fenugreek also helps to decrease the conversion of testosterone into other things like estrogens, right? Obviously, female hormones, so the lower estrogens you have, the higher your testosterone is, because testosterone gets converted, what's called reduced, by aromatase, this enzyme that reduces it down to estrogen. And with estrogen, you get mood swings and that sort of thing. So with fenugreek, by reducing that conversion to estrogen, your mood is better in addition to your testosterone levels being up. Coma longifoli, also known as Tonkat LE, is another ingredient that's been shown to raise testosterone levels. And so we have testosterone, which we've talked about, but then what about things like sleep, right? So for sleep, I typically recommend ZMA, which is a combination of zinc and magnesium. Again, ZMA is known for its testosterone boosting, at least that's what people talk about.
Right.
But that's not really why I recommend ZMA. Sure, zinc is, in fact, there's a recent review study done on zinc that shows that there's a definite correlation between blood levels of zinc and testosterone levels. So zinc has been shown in research studies to improve testosterone levels. So that is a benefit. But the main reason that I recommend ZMA is that it's just a better way to get zinc and magnesium. And the magnesium in particular can help with your sleep quality, right? And so that's why with ZMA, you typically take it on an empty stomach before bed to help with sleep quality, can help with testosterone. Again, not the main reason that I recommend it, more about just getting a good amount of zinc and magnesium. And the problem with zinc and magnesium is a lot of multivitamins will have zinc and magnesium.
Yeah, I
so
noticed
people
that.
will say to me, well, I already get zinc and magnesium in my multivitamin. And I'm like, well, does your multivitamin have calcium? Yeah, of course. It's got calcium too. It's a multivitamin. That's what I want. And I'm like, well, here's the problem. You're probably not absorbing much of that zinc or magnesium because the calcium is interfering with their uptake. So that's why I recommend getting a separate ZMA and taking that on an empty stomach, because the zinc and magnesium, there's many things besides calcium that interfere with their uptake. So you want to take that on an empty stomach. So maybe an hour or 30 minutes before bed. And then you get the benefit of the magnesium providing that relaxation to help you fall asleep. And then it actually improves your sleep quality to help you stay asleep. And then I'd probably also talk about vitamin D, especially if we're talking about mood.
Yeah, what exactly? Because vitamin D has been a hot topic lately. Why is it so important as we age to take vitamin D, and what specifically does it do?
Yeah, well, I mean, vitamin D does a number of things. Mainly, we know that it helps your body take up and utilize calcium, right? So those two are connected. So I typically recommend taking vitamin D at the same time you're taking calcium. But the thing with vitamin D is we know, like, during the winter months, right? If you look at countries that have very little daylight during the winter months,
Yeah.
the incidence of depression goes up around this time. And so, people talk about the sunlight. Well, what is it with the sunlight? Why does sunlight help people improve their mood? Well, it's likely related to vitamin D, which is one of the ways that we produce it is from sunlight in the skin, right? It activates the vitamin D. But during those winter months, or if you just don't get out, most of us have, indoor jobs. So even in the summertime, we're not getting exposed to that much sunlight. And the other issue is with sunscreen now. Everybody's so afraid of the sun
Right.
that, just facial moisturizers that have SPF in them to limit the amount of sunlight you're getting, which, again, from a cancer base, skin cancer base, maybe that's a good thing, but it's also limiting the amount of sun.
Yeah, you're blocking the sun even when you're out.
Exactly.
Right.
So you're blocking the sun. So you may not be producing enough of vitamin D, which, again, has been shown to help improve mood. It's been related to testosterone levels. In fact, if you look at testosterone levels in males, whether it's human males or animals, they tend to be higher in the summertime, testosterone levels.
They're outside.
Yeah, and again, that's related to vitamin D. But the thing about vitamin D is you don't want to take vitamin D, and I usually recommend vitamin D3, which is the active form. You want to take it with vitamin K2 because with vitamin D, like I said, it's very important for calcium regulation, but the vitamin K2 helps the calcium go to the right spot. And what do I mean by that? Well, you've heard about calcification of arteries, coronary arteries, right? So a lot of times the vitamin D, if you're just taking it by itself and you have excess calcium in your diet, it can actually be stored in the coronary arteries, and which is not a good thing. Calcification of the arteries, that can lead to a blockage. And so when you take vitamin D3 along with K2, the K2 is helping to ensure that calcium is taken up by bone, and it avoids it being stored in the coronary arteries.
Was that one of the problems? Because I know there's been some discussion in the past regarding calcium in supplement form versus calcium in more natural form, like coming from a source like milk.
Yes.
Is that one of the issues with calcium in a supplement form?
Particularly, yes, supplemental form. I typically recommend, in fact, I don't even sell a supplement.
Right.
My multivitamin has no, like I said, mainly because it interferes with the uptake of other micronutrients. But if you look at the data on calcium, if you go back to like the 80s and 90s, a lot of the research on calcium showed that it helped with fat loss and obviously with bone formation. But most of that research was done with dairy products. They were providing not a calcium supplement, they were providing calcium in the form of dairy, whether it's milk or yogurt. That's how these people were getting their calcium and seeing a beneficial effect. But then when they looked at calcium supplementation, they didn't see the same benefit. And in fact, in many cases with calcium supplementation, they saw that there might even be issues with heart disease. And this can be one of the reasons is, like they said, that calcification of those coronary arteries. So again, I recommend not supplementing with calcium, but trying to get it from your diet and dairy. Like I said, whether that's milk, yogurt, cheese, cottage cheese, and then also taking vitamin D3 along with the vitamin K2 along at a time that you're getting calcium.
So back to the calcium real quick. The supplement form of calcium, how is it different than like calcium in milk or calcium from you get from, like you said, a natural source? Like, is the molecular structure different?
I mean,
what's
calcium
different
is calcium,
about it?
but it's what it's mainly attached to. Like you have calcium carbonate is a popular supplement form. It's what it's attached to. That seems to be the issue, whereas the calcium in milk is naturally occurring. It doesn't need to have that other chemical attached to it. And so that may be the issue. But at this point, there's a lot that we don't understand. But like I said, when you sort of look at the research, it paints a picture that from dairy seems to be beneficial, as well as maybe from other food sources like sardines. You get it from eating the bones, the tiny bones in sardines, which is our other way to get calcium. Those forms seem to provide more benefit than the supplemental forms.
What are the real differences between TRT and maybe a natural test booster that does give you the results? And if somebody is taking TRT, should or could they also be taking a natural testosterone booster? And if so, why?
Yeah. So when you're talking about testosterone replacement, right, you're basically taking testosterone, injecting it. It's an exogenous source. So what happens there is you have a negative feedback loop, right? When your testosterone levels go up, it travels back to the brain. The brain recognizes testosterone levels are high. If it's too high, it then shuts down your own production. So when you're doing testosterone replacement therapy or hormone replacement, what do you want to call it? Testosterone is the hormone replacement. You're providing that exogenous source of testosterone, which is going to shut down your own production. So to get the benefit of higher testosterone levels with TRT, you have to stay on it forever. Once you go off, right, maybe your levels will come back up to what they were before, but depending on how long you were on, a lot of guys never get their own levels back, so they have to stay on TRT for the rest of their lives. When you're talking about a natural supplement, first of all, a natural supplement testosterone booster, you need to make sure that testosterone booster doesn't have any testosterone mimickers in it, because that's basically like TRT. So,
what does that mean? What's an example of a testosterone
like there's
mimicker?
a YAM, a lot of testosterone, natural testosterone booster supplements will use this YAM extract because it provides a plant-based steroid that looks like testosterone, right? It's got the same basic structure as testosterone. So when you consume it, it does what basically testosterone does in the body, but like I said, testosterone shuts down your own production. So if you're using a natural testosterone boosting supplement that has a testosterone mimicker in it, it's going to, again, shut your own production down, okay? Which, again, you probably don't want. I typically recommend some of the ingredients that we've talked about previously: Fenugreek, Ashwagandha, Uricoma, Shilajit are a good one, boron even. And these are all natural nutrients that are going to allow your body to produce more testosterone on its own without shutting it down. So you take TRT, shuts down your own production, testicles shrink, right? You take a natural testosterone booster, Alpha Gym X, for example, that doesn't have any testosterone mimickers, and now what you're doing is optimizing your body's own production. But it's not boosting it so high that that negative feedback loop is coming back and shutting down, right? Mm-hmm. So it's regulated. You're maximizing your body's own production, or at least optimizing your body's own production, so that you're getting a higher level. Now, the other question you asked is, what if you were doing TRT? Could you also use a natural testosterone booster supplement to enhance the effects that you get from TRT? Absolutely. In fact, I have data from many gym users who use Alpha X who are also on TRT, and when they add the Alpha X to their TRT, their total testosterone levels go up beyond what the TRT is providing. And the other nice thing here is that it's raising their free testosterone, it's reducing estrogen, less conversion, and it's reducing DHT levels. Your DHT is the testosterone, sort of the negative testosterone. It makes you more aggressive. It's related to male pattern baldness. It's related to prostate issues like prostate cancer. So trying to lower your DHT is a good thing because you don't have any of those side effects, but also that means that you have more testosterone, which is the anabolic hormone that we all want to help increase muscle mass and strength and reduce body fat.
So let me ask you another question. I know it's kind of off the cuff, but you were talking about having TRT as a part of your protocol, and I know that so many guys over the age of 30 right now are opting for that, and then also at the same time trying to have kids and start families. I mean, is there a relation to having synthetic, if you will, if that's the right word, TRT, and it lowering your chances to have a family?
Yeah, so that's the other negative outcome of TRT is it's going to shrink your testicles. And not only are your testicles no longer making testosterone because you're getting it exogenously, but it's reducing the amount of sperm and the amount of healthy sperm that you can produce. So it's lowering drastically your fertility.
See, most people don't know that, because I will tell you this. I actually have a couple, people who I know who are in that level of, kind of the mid 30s moving on up, and they've already had their first kid, and their wives and, are all, hey, we want to have a second kid. But I know that dude's on TRT because he's told me.
Yep.
It's none of my business to sit there and have that conversation openly. But I wondered about that, because I wanted to ask you first before I gave them any information. Like, hey, dude, you were talking about having a second kid, but I know you're on TRT. Chances you having, more children, it goes down. And I almost want to give them, not something from a clinical side, but like, try this, and that's why I wanted to ask you these questions. It's like, there's an alternative besides that. And if you're on it, fine. But if your goals are to increase your family, maybe don't do that. But here's another option for you. If you want the increased testosterone, what would be the ingredients, the products you should take, and obviously not have that negative aspect of what you get from taking TRT.
Yeah, that's what's interesting today is, a lot of people are having families at a, later time in their lives. You know what I mean? It used to be you got married in your early 20s and had kids right away, but now people are waiting to be, better off in career before they start a family. So they kind of want two things at the same time as they get older. They want to feel better, look better, which is they want to raise their testosterone levels, right? But then they also want to have kids. And so that's the problem with the TRT, is that it's going to shut your body's own production of not just testosterone, but your ability to produce sperm and, fertility. Like I said, healthy sperm. So your fertility is going to go down. Now, there's things you can do like HCG, which is something that'll help keep your testicles. But again, depending on how much TRT you're using and whatnot, that may or may not help. But with the ingredients that I talked about, like the Fenugreek, the Ashwagandha, the Uricoma, the Shilajit, boron, the nice thing there is it's not only increasing your testosterone production, it's actually increasing your fertility. Particularly Ashwagandha has been shown in studies to not only raise testosterone levels, but to also raise sperm production as well as healthy sperm levels. So it's literally increasing fertility. And I know people who are on TRT and trying to have families, and it's an issue. They have to go off the TRT,
right,
or at least lower it drastically, so that they can have a family. And I know people who have wanted to start a family and stopped doing the TRT and started doing the Alpha JYM supplement instead, and it raises their testosterone levels back up while, like I said, increasing their fertility. So it works very well.
So one of the things I know, a video you recently did, so ashwagandha obviously has been shown to raise testosterone naturally and make you more fertile. And I think those are two things some people miss, is that, if they think they have higher testosterone, they must be more fertile.
Not with TRT.
Not with TRT.
You're less fertile because the testosterone you're getting is what we call exogenous. It's an outside source. It's not produced by your body. So when you inject it or take it as a pill or a cream, however you're getting it, right, it's a source outside your body's own production, and it's so much that the brain is getting that negative feedback loop and shutting down your own production because it's going, oh, well, we're getting enough testosterone elsewhere. We don't need to make it on our own.
Right.
When you shut down those cells, it also shuts down the cells that are involved in producing sperm and your fertility.
In ashwagandha, and I know you quickly mentioned Shilajit. Now, I saw another video that you did the other day on your TikTok where you talked about Shilajit, and I think it was India researchers recently found improved in testosterone as well as fertility. So that would be another good ingredient. And how much, Jim? I think that's important. How much of these ingredients? If you see ashwagandha Okay, great. But how much do I need to take? If you see Shilajit, how much do I need to take on a daily basis? I mean, what would be your recommendation based on that?
I usually recommend about 500 to 600 milligrams of Fenugreek, 506 milligrams of Ashwagandha twice a day. So that's a total of about 1,000
Of each
to
one of those,
1,200
right?
milligrams per day. With the Shilajit, you're about 250 milligrams. Again, I recommend these twice a day as well to raise those levels.
Now, is there any connection with taking just one of those ingredients at 1,000 milligrams or 500 milligrams, whichever one, or do they work together? Is there any synergy between them?
Most of the research looks at individual ingredients, right? And so, like, you talk about Fenugreek, or you talk about Ashwagandha, or you talk about Shilajit, or you talk about Uricoma longifolia. In the research, the studies that show a rise in your testosterone levels, it's typically anywhere from about 10 to 20%, maybe 40% at max, but usually somewhere in the 20% range, right? For those individual ingredients, which is nice. But again, what are we talking about? What's 20%? Well, if you were 500, let's say your levels of testosterone are 500, and a good value in testosterone is around 1,000. Okay, low end is 300, very low end, right? Anything below 300, you tend to be considered chronically low, and that's when a doctor will put you on TRT, right? So you want to be somewhere around 1,000, right? So let's say your levels are 500. Not bad. It's okay. It's a normal range, but you want more, right? Like I said, 1,000 is a double of 500, right? So obviously, if you double it to 1,000, you're going to feel much better. But like I said, if you decided to take one ingredient like Fenugreek, for example, and you got a 20% rise in your testosterone, what's 20% of 500?
Right.
100. So went from 5 to 600, which is great, okay? You raised it, but you're probably not going to feel a huge difference going from 5 to 600. Whereas with the ingredients that I've worked with in combined together, which is, like I said, the Fenugreek plus the Ashwagandha plus the Shilajit plus the Uricoma. Now you're getting a 20%, another 20%, another 20%, right?
Right.
Those all add up.
They stack up.
And that's why we're talking specifically about the Alpha Gym X product. People are doubling their testosterone levels. You can't do that with a single ingredient. It's the combination of those ingredients working by different mechanisms to raise your testosterone by that. So if you're 500 with these multiple ingredients, you might be able to get to that 1,000. Right. Like I said, some people have gone far beyond 1,000. My levels are around 1,200 with the Alpha Gym X.
For the 4 weeks that we did it, between that 35 to 50 range was the range of individuals who participated. They never took anything before in their life. So they did it for 4 weeks, and we tested their blood. And what were the results?
So we have an average increase of around 70%. Average increase. That's the average.
And that's from these
70%.
6 individuals. Yeah.
70%. Some of those were doubled. Many of them doubled their testosterone levels. Doubled. So anywhere from like 50% to 100% is what we're seeing with the Alpha Gym X. And not only just the levels, but then we had a questionnaire that we gave them, right? And so they fill out, how's your mood, sleep, all that. And not only did their levels of testosterone go up, but things like mood improved, right? Their energy levels improved. And again, that's not just due to raising testosterone, total testosterone, but by reducing the estrogen, conversion to estrogen, the conversion of DHT, so that you feel better on top of performing better.
One question I get from everyone is like, what are the products that I have to take every single day in order to feel better, sleep better, be in a better mood, and honestly have the urge to have sex.
Yeah,
that
sex drive.
sex drive. What are those products? And that was the question I posed to you. So what is your answer?
Yeah, so I would start with obviously Alpha GMX, right? It's going to get your testosterone up, more energy, right? Sex drive, going to lower DHT and estrogen, which is going to help with mood. Then I'd say ZMA, the zinc and magnesium, which is going to help with sleep and recovery. Like I said, the zinc may even help with testosterone levels as well. And then the vitamin D3 K2, which again is going to improve your mood, right? But then also there's a relationship between vitamin D and testosterone and vitamin D and strength, right? So for most males also want to be stronger and feel stronger. And like I said, the zinc and magnesium and the ZMA, it's going to help you sleep better. It's going to help you recover better. That's going to add the strength. The testosterone booster, the Alpha GMX, obviously that's going to increase testosterone. It's going to increase strength. But then the vitamin D, in addition, there's also research showing that vitamin D may also be related to improving strength.
Awesome. I think that's the basis of all these questions, was just about how to be the alpha male. I think that in a generation now where, as you mentioned, testosterone levels throughout the course of the last couple decades naturally have gone down from societal changes, cultural changes, eating, nutrition. And I just think that there's a great group of men out there who want to be the alpha, who want to be the guys who maybe they were and now that are no longer, but they want to get back there. And I think that you've provided solutions for them, and I just want to get the word out about it so that they can have the results.